this is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Discover Brightside, where we discover new things for you every day. And I am here with Sue Sundstrom, and she's a book strategist, a best-selling author, a book coach, and a speaker. She's also won an award-winning entrepreneur, and she can actually help you write a book, publish a book, and help you get readers. So, Sue, I am delighted to have you on our show and tell us a little bit more about your background and how you do book breakthrough publishing.
Sure. So good to meet you and so good to be with you, Elizabeth. So, I actually wrote my first book when I was 14 years old, and it was kind of, I know it's surprising and kind of by accident. I was bored in biology class with a friend of mine, and so we started writing a children's fiction book, like a fantasy story at the back of class, and she got tired of it, but I took it home and I ended up writing the entire thing. So it had about 4 or 5 chapters and a setting, a world setting with a swamp and a castle and a monster, and I just discovered, this talent that I didn't realize I had. And I was too young to know any better, and to listen to the programming that tells you can't do it. And so I did it. The only problem was, unfortunately, I didn't know what to do with it after that. And so it actually never got published. And it just sat. I didn't even know who to ask for guidance. I don't think I even spoke to my parents about it. And so it wasn't until years and years later, literally decades later, that I actually finally wrote my first book that I published. And since then, been so passionate about helping others because it took me so long to realize a dream that I was clearly gifted for, clearly meant to be doing, but just took so long because of lack of guidance and getting into the usual life of career and marriage and kids and never finding the time for what you really, really love doing. And so since then, I've written 4 books. That children's book is still in the making, that one that I wrote when I was 14. I've rewritten parts of it because I found a segment of it, and it is still going to be published. So that'll still be a happy end to the story with regard to that as well. But yeah, having now just trained thousands in how to write a book, I've seen so many transformed people wanting to write books for years. I mean, one of my clients wanted to write a book for 40 years and then finally wrote it. So it's such a delight to me to see that happen because I know how long I waited. And then another one, 30 years, she wanted to write a children's book. She got published this last year, within a year working with me, and many, many more. It's a passion, and I believe that there's so much need for more positive, great stories and positive information that really helps people to be out there. And so I love enabling that to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is the most exciting thing is meeting people and their stories and bringing them to life and so many people are so grateful just to tell their story, and some have
Yeah.
great stories to tell. So that is great that we live in a storytelling world and have people like you to help us along the way. So, what were some of your challenges as an entrepreneur and as a coach and speaker? What were some of your challenges that you faced? And then, what were some of your victories?
So initially, I mean, I tried for a long time as an entrepreneur with various different ventures before actually circling back to book writing and book publishing. And I tried for about 13 years on and off while I had young kids and in my spare time. Couldn't quite crack the whole online marketing thing. I think that was my major challenge, that I had entered the world as a corporate employee. And so I knew very little about entrepreneurship, both the mindset and then also the strategies to market yourself, sales, getting attention, getting noticed, coming up with a good offer. All those things were just so new to me that, I stumbled my way through picking some of the wrong mentors or programs that just didn't really give me what I needed, which I think is everybody's journey as an entrepreneur. And then finally cracked the code, finding a marketing method, mainly running live events, which really just escalated the growth of my business. And from there, then it was awesome. I'd actually finally found a way to market. I think I always had the skill and the ability to help people, but it was knowing how to translate that into an offer that they could understand the value of, and then also getting the attention in the marketplace and marketing correctly. So challenges were just many and varied, from having my Facebook account shut down after I started advertising on Facebook, um, having hurting my back in the middle of my entrepreneurship journey, just
Aw.
some personal things we had to deal with. I mean, you name it, it comes across. And, in hiring team, you don't always get it right the first time. So you have to go through a few different people before you discover who's going to be a right fit for you. So there's so many challenges and obstacles, but I would say the main way that I overcame any of them was just having this attitude of never giving up. I think if you just decide you're just never ever going to quit, then you will get there and you will find an answer. And I'm the kind of person who would just keep seeking and seeking and seeking until I find the answer. Ask, seek, and knock, ask and keep on asking, seek and keep on seeking.
I think that is the way to go. Yes, yes. I call it the rhythm. You got to get into the rhythm, and then once you figure it out, it works out beautifully. So that sounds like such a great story too. Um, so let's talk about the journey with book writing. I know a lot of people talk about the writer's block and they get so excited about their story and then they get stuck in the middle. And so how do you deal with that with when you're coaching people and getting them through that?
Well, there are a few different ways. So, one of the things that I tell them is that it is such a myth that you have to be motivated all of the time while writing your book. So many new authors are surprised when they run out of motivation, or they think something's wrong with them when they run out of motivation. And so they stop, they quit. When really they should realize that the most prolific, successful authors out there have times when they don't feel motivated and they just sit their butt in the chair and they just get on with it. So they just have a regular practice of writing, whether they feel like it or not. If we think about any kind of job, there are days when we don't feel like turning up.
Yeah.
But because we know we have to, we just turn up regardless. So we should treat our writing like that, like a job. If we treat it like a job, then we'll just turn up whether we feel motivated or not. And often you sometimes you just need to warm yourself up. So there are techniques you can use also to help, kick you out of writer's block. Sometimes it's a creativity block. So maybe you have spent too long writing. So some people have had too much of like a binge of writing, like a writing marathon, and they literally need a break just to go and walk in nature for 10 minutes, play with the kids, walk the dog, do something that they truly enjoy, have a life outside of your writing, and then that helps stimulate your creativity and allow you to come back. That's another way. And then just creating a regular writing routine is another great way to get yourself out of writer's block. The third thing is often it's actually a mental block rather than writer's block. So it's self-doubt, it's fear, It's thinking no one's going to read their book. It's all those thoughts, that inner critic that often people misinterpret as writer's block, but it's actually because they have lost the conviction that they should be writing this book. And there are a number of things that I tell people and help them mindset wise, which I can't cover all of it, but one of the key things is people often have the thought of, I'm not enough an expert to write this book. I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified to write this book. And the best way to defeat that is to realize that everyone has self-doubt at times as well. Even the most successful people in the world have self-doubt. But the difference between those who still succeed and those who don't is those who do, they act in spite of their self-doubt. They just act in spite of the fear, doing it afraid, just keeping going, telling themselves, I'm not going to believe everything I think. And so just questioning those thoughts, also those thoughts of, I'm not an expert. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the number one world's expert to be qualified to write a book about something. In fact, if you've just read about 3 books on any given subject, this is for nonfiction, you know more than probably about 80% of people in the world on that subject. So many times we discount our knowledge, we discount our wisdom, we discount our understanding, or we discount our story and how much it can encourage, empower, entertain, or lift up other people. And we write ourselves off. And it's just the enemy in our mind telling us lies, and then we call it writer's block, but it's actually just us allowing that self-doubt to be louder than our why. Like, why are you writing this book? And focusing on who it can touch, even if it's one person whose life it can touch.
Wow. I didn't know there was so much to being the writer's block, but that's so very true. Getting up in the morning, motivating yourself, getting into a routine. Those are really good tips. Now, you moved from being a writer to being a speaker. So, how was that transition to being a writer to being a speaker?
Well, I first started speaking by actually running writing events. And the first time I did it, I was terrified. And people asked me, were you scared? And I said, of course I was. Everyone is the first time. And I look back at the video and I wanted to cringe. And the thing is, you just got to start. I remember this amazing quote. I believe it's by Zig Ziglar, and I'm pretty sure it's him. He says, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And
It's true.
we all have to start. If we decide, I'm never going to speak because I don't speak well, then we'll never get great at speaking. So it was just practice, and I knew my topic. And so speak on something speak on something that you live. That would be great advice as well, not just regurgitating something you read in a book. Just pick what you know and you know well and you've lived through, and choose to speak about that. Then just be yourself, but then also, watch for some of those things like, I wriggled in my chair first. The first time I spoke. So watch yourself back, I
Yeah.
would say, when you first start.
You tell people that all the time because when they come on Zoom and they have hideous backgrounds and they don't know what to say and so sometimes we have to do many takes. So you look like you're a speaker, so that's awesome. So where do you find, so you speak at events that you host, or do you speak at industry events, or do people seek you out? How does that work?
Uh, Yeah, I do both. So obviously I've run a lot of my own events. I've run at least 20 of my own online events, and many of them lasting for up to 5 days. So obviously not all day, every day, but 1 hour a day for 5 days, or a 3 day all day event I've run. And so that gave me a lot of speaking experience. I had guests on my events, and then I was a guest for others for their events. So mainly online, but also offline. I've spoken at a couple of other publishing events here in London, and I've also run my own retreat in California in the US. So I would say, yeah, a lot of other people who were running online events either on the topic of book writing or speaking, and obviously writing is very complementary to that, or they just wanted me to tell my story, share my testimony. Sometimes I've shared on online marketing and how to make that work. It just depended on what they needed and what I had to give to the audience that fit.
Wow, sounds like so interesting. So, where now? What's the next? Are you going to continue on or do something new, or what's the next step for you?
I definitely want to write more books. So I've probably got at least 10 books in me. And obviously continuing with the writing coaching, the publishing, I love that. I want to expand more into getting some expanded distribution going for my authors. Plus, I have other courses that I want to do. I have a number of subjects I'm passionate about. So I have some spiritual subjects that I'm passionate about, relating also to mindset, really having a victorious mindset. So I'm probably going to bring out a course along those lines. Also, just helping people kind of heal from their past and then really work to walk in victory in their future, because I just found so much of my breakthroughs and my ability to start really achieving the goals and dreams that I had for years and years and years came from working on my mindset. It came from healing from some things from the past. And so I really want to help some other people who I see blocked, like I was speaking about some of those blocks. I think that, people can accelerate their progress so much more when they heal from some of those blocks. So lots of goals. There's other things, there's other services related to the book writing and publishing, like audiobooks and other things that I think we'd be looking to expand, but it's all good. Pretty much
Yeah.
staying
I-
in my lane and adding to that, depending on what's really going to help my audience.
Hmm. So this is a question we ask everyone, because we started Brightside because we got tired of the news and all these haters and negative people. And so we wanted to be on the positive side, on the bright side, and promote positive energy. And so we ask everyone, what does bright side mean to you, or how could you relate the word bright side in what you do?
I think that bright side means, similar to what you're saying, looking on the bright side of life. I love it. The mainstream news is so sensationalist, it's so negative. I actually watch very little of it because it just poisons our minds. So I love that you're bringing positivity to the world. I love that you are interviewing people who are trying to make a positive difference in the world rather than clickbait.
I know, it's just yeah, it's so true. So yeah, and my final question is, what do you think about AI? AI is here, and you are a writer, and your creative territory is I don't know, it's challenged. It could help,
Yeah.
and it couldn't help too. So, what do you think of
Yeah.
AI?
I think that it definitely has many benefits, and it also has some potential big misuses. I don't like the idea of people spewing out books with AI. I see no point in doing that. I see no point in reading anything that's being produced in that way.
Yeah.
It will have zero originality and nothing really new or unique in its content. So I don't really understand why some people are wanting to do that. But I love the uses of AI for, easy editing of video, or even translating, your voice and allowing you to produce videos in different languages. The transcription abilities, which are really great, and I use a lot in my business to help authors who want to even convert, recorded trainings into a book rather than write them. So AI makes that possible. So there's a lot that's good about AI, although it is not very original. It can be robotic. What's produced can sound stale and canned. And so I think humans are always going to be needed. It will never replace us. Some of the photo headshots from AR are hilarious.
Yeah.
I've, I've tried a few. A couple of them were good. A couple of them did not even resemble me remotely, and they look like a completely different person. And some of them look like me 30 years ago. So it's just some of it's very, very amusing, and some of it really saves time. So
Yeah.
it's great for brainstorming. It's great for just confirming ideas, but we should never stop thinking. We should never stop thinking creatively. Otherwise, our brains will atrophy, and that is our unique advantage, is our ability to think well and think creatively.
And that's one of my goals and my Discover Brightside is literacy. We want people to read more, and we want authors to sell more books. And so one of the things I do is I teach people about starting their own libraries at home and investing in books. Because if you have books around you,
Cool.
you're going to read them. And
Yeah.
like I have people like have these absolutely clean houses with no books at all, and I'm like, you can't just live in a digital world. You will lose your
No.
creativity, and reading is so important. And therefore, I'm glad you talked about that, because that's very big for us, that people read more, spend more time being creative, using their mindsets, using their brains.
Mm,
Most of us don't even use 2% of our brains.
yeah.
There's so much to discover. So yeah, so meditate and could be more creative. So this was a very, very lovely interview, and I know that Sue's going to be working with us, so we will be seeing more of her. And I'm really excited. So I should really say welcome to Brightside, as
Uh,
well, and also that you've been discovered on Brightside, so that more of the Brightside audience and our book club can learn more about you. We just started a book club and we love it, because previously we used to do a lot of networking, but now we have one single author presenting her book or his book. And I think that sounds so much fun, and we can do book readings and dive into books, and then get people to buy the books and start a book collection. So stay tuned. We have a lot to share, and Sue will be back with us on August the 10th. With Joseph Sanchez, and I think that's going to be an awesome event. So we're going to teach you how to soar like an eagle, and he loves meditation too and mindset. He's actually written a book about think, focus, and something. So yeah, so that would be a good one. So thanks for watching Discover Brightside, and where we discover new authors, new things, and tell us what you thought about Sue. Write us a comment and share the video so more people can know about us. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We give away a lot of great stuff. All our sponsors give away free ebooks and downloads, and even sometimes you could get a physical book as well. If you like to review books, we encourage that a lot. So let me know if you'd like to be a book reviewer, and I might be able to send you some books to review. And then we give you tickets to our show as well. So it's good to be a subscriber of Brightside. So thank you for watching us, and whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or anywhere that this video is, we hope you enjoy it and learned something new. Thank you.
right.
Okay. I